here's Brodie Brazil.
Okay, I'm going to show you this flight training exercise. This is one I actually used to do. Normally on a cross-country flight or a simulated cross-country, we had just passed Tracy Airport coming out of Livermore, and one of the regular checkpoints was a little place called New Jerusalem Airport. You're actually going to see that right now it is right there, right under us. We actually just passed it. So at this point, I would take the power right there, bring it to idle, and say we just lost an engine. Now, obviously, you're going to go for best glide. I think in this airplane, it's probably about 65, so I'll get to that. I would simulate running through some checklists, and we would do the normal flow of operations for an engine emergency. But then we'd start thinking about, all right, where is a suitable spot to land? And the student hopefully realizes that there is an airport right underneath the airplane. That's not always going to happen that way, but in this case, it did. So now what are we going to do? Because it does seem like the optimal scenario. Airport right below you? Are you kidding me? How lucky are you to have this engine failure in a spot like this? But how many times does the student actually get into a dead stick situation where they have to glide to an airport? Now, it being 4 miles away at 10,000 feet, or it being right below you like it was at 3,500 feet, approximately where I was, those are all different variables, but still, do you possess the skill to get this airplane down with precisely zero thrust being produced? Now, I would advise you before you try something like this on your own, do it with an instructor. I hope you know what you're doing. You do not want to turn a simulated emergency into an actual one. So I'm coming back here over the airport. I'm setting myself up for a left downwind. That's just what I'm doing, runway 30 at New Jerusalem. I've been pretty close to best glide, but look, I've been distracted. I've been talking to you. There's the airport right there, runway 30. I'm also assuming I know wind conditions, generally speaking. Which runway should I use? What's the traffic going like down there? What's the frequency that I need to be on to at least state my intentions? Did I already talk to a controller who I was getting flight following from? Did I declare my emergency? All of that, in addition to actually flying the airplane and bringing it down here and making a safe dead stick landing. Now, I'm at 2,100 feet, and I've just crossed over the field. I'm going to enter in this left downwind. I'm probably a little bit high, right? So what kind of pattern am I going to fly here? How far away from the airport do I feel comfortable getting, but also knowing that I can safely come back to it? I'll make this landing on runway 30 that I'm not going to run out of energy. And that's what this is all about. Energy management, right? So now I'm entering the downwind here. I'll take a peek outside, reset my view. Now I should be pretty close to, a beam the numbers right there off of 30. Still around my best glide. Now I'm at 1,600 feet, and I also know that this airport is approximately at sea level out in California's Central Valley. So you know what? I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be able to make the field at this point. In fact, I'm still probably high. So I'm going to throw in my first 10 degrees of flaps. I'm going to keep this nose coming down. And again, this is all judging and gauging, right? Now I'm doing this on Flight Sim, which is a totally different vantage point and perspective than it is in real life. All right, I'm going to extend my downwind just a little bit farther here, but I definitely need to make this runway, right? Like, the one thing I can't do is land short. I'm okay with landing a little bit long, right? And maybe even a little bit faster than normal if that's going to be the case, but I cannot cut this thing short. So I'm not necessarily aiming for the numbers here. I'm aiming for any runway that I can get. Sorry about that. Take a glance out my left window, and the vision is kind of, be honest, impaired here. It's kind of hard to see on Flight Sim. It's a little bit different than in real life. There's my runway. All right, I'm at 600 feet here, 64 knots. I've got flaps 20 in right now. Am I going to make this? I'm watching my airspeed. It dipped down a little bit lower than I want, just below 60. So I definitely need to be able to make this runway. Let's hope I can do it. Keep the nose coming down. That's important. Keep it coming. I'm not going to use any more flaps. I probably already pushed it as close as I should have to begin with. Still coming down. Still coming down. Looks like I will make this runway. No more flaps at this point. I'm going to transition into my landing view right here. There it is. Over the numbers. Descent. Round out. Hold it. Hold it. There we go. We are safely on the ground at New Jerusalem. From a dead stick landing, right? And just to recap, you know, even right there, if I were to do this again, I would have kept my pattern a little bit tighter, right? I would have rather have landed halfway down this runway and had all that extra airspeed, and that's fine. You know, in altitude, I would rather have had those in reserve, maybe throw in an extra 10 degrees of flaps at the very end. To be honest, even in going through this on Flight Sim, you know, kind of raw for the first time, I landed fine. I still had some airspeed even in the bank, but if I had to do that again, I would have landed a little bit faster, a little bit longer, just to carry that extra energy all the way to make sure I make it to the airport. So again, that's an interesting exercise to do what I just did right there. You automatically usually assume, hey, I can glide, I've got gliding distance, but you don't think about the setup to landing. I mean, yeah, gliding to the airport vicinity is one thing. Setting yourself up to land with energy to spare, that's a totally separate thing.